taste it there. Num 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 eat.
Why would they do this?
No, because we started this mad ride and it's already going and we can't get off for some reason. Let's continue on with the adventures of She-Hulk in the MCU.
Are you okay?
Another crime and totally destroys your chances at parole?
Who are you talking to?
So we know that Jennifer Walters is in a little weird cat basket right now because this just makes her case not open and shut, but much harder because now they have footage of this guy being out of the jail cell and he's trying to tell her, hey,
No, I said I choose not to.
turn into the Abomination, and he said he was forced out of his cell by the Sorcerer Supreme, basically Wong, the sidekick of Doctor Strange. So Jen is freaking out after she talks with her paralegal friend and is like, okay, can you get to this guy because we need to talk to him, and now that this guy is saying that this dude broke him out of prison, he is a witness, he can help me with this case. You know, by simply saying I use my magic portal thingy to forcibly remove the Abomination out of his cell, which is, you know, one of those things. Like Abomination couldn't fight to stay in his cell, but whatever. Anyway, this is how I know it feels like a chick show and not a very well-written one, because Jen asks her paralegal best friend if she knows anything on Wong and if we can reach him because she really depends upon Wong's testament so that the Abomination, or the guy who plays him, Emil, can be set free, because after all, he was forced out of there. Don't you know? And her friend says, yeah, it's me you're talking to.
Yes, Jen, it's me. Of course I can get to him.
I sent a thirst trap. It was a picture of me with a bunch of books.
Let's just hope that he calls back.
Need to do better.
Tell me you want to be stereotyped even though you say you don't without telling me you want to be stereotyped. It's so funny how the writers of the show are making it seem as though men stereotype women and blah blah blah, which is funny because the writers do nothing but stereotype men even though that's not the main stereotype, because last time I checked we're not living in the 1940s. But at every turn, every single one of the dialogue, they stereotype the annoying, entitled, city girl, ultra feminist woman and then expect that to be a representation of how all of us women think. And then they're like, why don't men take us seriously? How can people take you seriously when you're like, oh, well, let me thirst trap this guy? Okay, it's supposed to be a joke, I guess, because she had books, but instead of just reaching out to the person or trying to use the, you know, professional way to do things, you rely specifically on thirst trapping the person. Like, now I'm guessing to get them to pay attention to you, you had to sort of send it to them. Is this written solely to use the phrase thirst trap? The show is starting to turn me off. Even Drop Dead Diva made more sense than the show, and that didn't make a lot of sense from the legal standpoint.
I know you can't wait to see Wong.
Ew, what? No. Hands on the wheel, bro. You're not helping with the women's stereotype of women being bad drivers when you can't keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the freaking wheel. I mean, do you understand that you literally just had an accident where you almost could have killed your cousin had he not had superpowers because you couldn't keep your freaking eyes on the road? Oy vey.
I just want to make sure that you don't think this is one of those cameo every week type of shows.
Jen, what are you so scared of? Oh, because you're the main character and nobody actually wants to watch you, so you do have to rely on people like Wong and the Abomination and Hulk himself to basically carry your show on their back. And that's saying something because you don't even really see a lot of them. The fact that she has to fourth wall break to tell people this kind of feels like a projection from the writers and letting us know, hey, we know our show is kind of bad, but just in case you're getting your hopes up to try and see other characters that you actually want to see, that's not gonna happen. Even though that's literally how we marketed our show, by putting the Hulk in it and putting him at the forefront, because, you know, that's how the story happened, so it's fair. But just as people pointed out in the show itself, in the universe, She-Hulk is a derivative of the Hulk. And since it's his blood that got inside her system, and he was the one who tried to introduce her to everything even though she didn't need him, because she got it 10 out of 10, flying colors right off the bat, it's kind of expected that everything surrounding his universe or the Hulk himself would somewhat tie in to what she's doing, which is exactly what they're doing with the Abomination, you know? You are part of the Marvel universe, are you not? Kind of misleading to tell the audience that they shouldn't expect for there to be a cameo every single week or every single episode, where so far, that's what you've been doing, that's a track record you've been setting.
Terry, are you okay?
Well, except Bruce. And Blonsky. And Wong. Just remember whose show this actually is.
Oh god, can this character be any more irritating? Don't forget whose show this is. Says the people who were constantly putting in main characters to hold up the show because it can't stand on its own, just so it could be barely watchable. That's no different than putting us in a room filled wall to wall with student desks with homework on it and then telling us to do it to make sure we focus while there's an entire erotic dancer in the middle of the room on a pole twirling around and removing articles of clothing. Straight or not, with her being the only thing in the room, or him, or whatever, who the frick is gonna be concentrating? These characters aren't even my favorite, especially considering this iteration of Hulk, which is like the equivalent to a geriatric superhero, agonizing to see how much they had to nerf him just so the She-Hulk could look better. And despite all of that, I would still rather watch him in a show about She-Hulk than watch actual She-Hulk.
Who raised you to be so hostile?
Revealed that Jennifer Walters has a superhero alter ego called She-Hulk.
So here's the next uber annoying part about this show, and I'm like, you know what, all the digs at people, I get it, sure, why not? But then they keep going. It's almost as if they are relying so much on this boss bitch persona that is just so unlikable because they have nothing else to offer.
But then they gave it to a woman?
I have no problem with female heroes. I'm just saying, make your own.
They do this uber cringy montage of dudes saying stuff like, they gave it to a woman? Why are you turning every superhero into a girl? No one asked for that. Why everything gotta be female now? So we have the too movement and now all the male superheroes are gone?
Well, yes, that's it, exactly.
They tell on themselves sometimes. Like you do.
One thing I don't understand is why they fail to acknowledge that a lot of us females have a problem with this as well. Now, to be fair, I think She-Hulk is a very old character, but one of the things I absolutely loathed, especially as I was growing up and started to recognize this stuff on the internet, was how every time the girls have something, the boys are not allowed to participate. But when the boys have something, nerf, you know, everybody has to be like, you know what, let the girls play too. It's hella insulting that they think, oh, for me to like a toy that the boys happen to be playing with, you have to style it pink. What? Pink is the least favorite of my colors. The only thing I want to see pink on me is actually inside me. And over the years, they've ironically put that and plastered that onto superheroes and characters, while saying that females aren't to be derivatives of men and we're not the lower ones, but yet you're literally doing that with the characters. You're taking established characters that are male and making them female and then trying to make the male characters look bad. Male characters that a lot of us girls like, by the way. You know what it feels like? It feels like having a brother. I have two brothers, and it feels like some broad coming out of nowhere and just being like, you guys are stupid. She's talking to my brothers that way while trying to make herself look better. Bitch, if you don't get the fuck up out of here. It's very distasteful, and if she comes to me and is like, can we be friends? Really? After you just did my brothers like that? You can be friends with my fucking palm. That's what this show is giving. That's what a lot of these shows are giving. And the fact that they added in those little comments or pseudo comments, because yes, that's something that a lot of us are actually saying, means that they're aware that they're doing it. And they either don't care, they're tone deaf, or they're showing a false sense of security by coming out with all the things that we're gonna say about them before we actually say them, even though they're still a bit late to the party. Anyway, aside from her horrible on-screen representation, Jennifer Walters has other issues. Gideon, the original lawyer who had put away Emil Blonsky, has a problem with not just She-Hulk representing him, but Emil going out regardless. I understand what he was saying, it's not his fault, a lot of the stuff that happened, but he still did it. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as a serial killer being like, it's not my fault, I have a mental illness and that's why I smushed and scraped those women from the inside out and kept doing it to many others. Jennifer's friend tells her, hey, you know, people are spreading these rumors about you, and She-Hulk's annoyed about it, but she's like, dude, you have to make your own narrative, you know? Which, at least, thank you. Funny that they're saying that, because, you know, there are people on the internet that try to do that, and they're like, no, look at them, they're bullying people by having their own opinion and by sticking up for their reputation. People are claiming that there's a rumor that she and the Abomination are together and are having a baby, and all this weird stuff, but Jennifer does not want to be a part of it. The episode introduces some really unnecessary filler. I'm aware that was a pleonasm. But they asked her to represent the misogynist and entitled lawyer who was just so on the nose as a character. It's hard to believe someone thought they were writing this for a live action show and not a freaking cartoon.
A lot of it.
Yeah. No, I can't talk to a 10 about embarrassing man stuff. She could be my next fiance.
That's a Okay? These people are talking about representation for black women, yet there are a plethora of badass looking actual 10 out of 10s on Instagram, but nobody, okay. We're cheap when it comes to actors, but let's not use any of our $53 billion to go out there and straight up make some. And yep, big up a Jamaican gal them. But I digress.
The girlfriend in question is a shape-shifting light elf from New Asgard.
Wow, Dennis.
I know she's digging at him, but because I don't like her character, she just comes off very annoying. Like, she couldn't have been fooled if a super celebrity person that she didn't know was a shapeshifter, especially since she had no idea that shapeshifters existed, was taking her down. Come on now. Come on now. I mean, seriously. You, Jennifer Walters, would not think for 1 second as a plain Jane, you know, that somebody like that was pulling you. They wrote the male character to be a doofus, so everyone has to make fun of him because that's a thing. During all of this, Wong shows up, which makes me wonder. Ugh, I want to slap myself.
Nobody's stopping you. I'll watch.
Wong admits to everything and tells her that, yeah, he'll help her on the case. While Jennifer is talking to Wong, doofus guy over here is explaining what happened with his shapeshifter girlfriend. The one he thought was Megan Thee Stallion, like everybody's supposed to know who the hell that is. I know who she is and I just found out. I know it's something that a lot of movies do, but it's quite annoying when I'm sitting there like they're making references of these old ass actors that I'm supposed to know, and I'm just completely lost, so whatever jokes they're making with those references just fall really, really flat. So because Doofus Guy doesn't want Jennifer Walters as his lawyer, he picks somebody else. You know, the only one of the men out there that are good with the girl, so he's totally okay. Is that character gay? Because I notice this trend with these shows, and the only time that lighter shade skinned male characters are loved and good with the females is if they're gay. Like, it's impossible for straight men in the show to be nice and be decent human beings. And you may be wondering, well, why do you take it so personally, Altiori? I don't know. Maybe because my father's a straight man and so are my brothers and most of my male family members. So doing this entire all men are bad type of narrative kind of feels like you're attacking my close personal family members and friends. But that's just me. Except I know it's not, because I've talked to a lot of other girls and they feel the exact same way as I do.
$175,000. That's a whole house in parts of the country.
What an odd thing to remark on with such sarcasm, you know, when your client says this is how much the shapeshifter scammed him out of to buy a car that cost that much. It's funny, I don't know what they were going for here, but I believe they were trying to insult the doofus character. But you do realize that you ended up insulting Megan, right? A black artist. A black female empowerment artist. A black female empowerment artist that's worth $8 million. A black female empowerment artist who's worth $8 million and has a car collection consisting of
Rolls-Royce Down, Lexus 250, Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG, and Cadillac Escalade are the known car collections of our hot girl Meg.
A Lexus that costs $43,000, a Mercedes SLS AMG that costs $200,000, and a Rolls-Royce Dawn that costs $350,000. Are you, sir, saying that Megan Thee Stallion has no right to buy the kind of car that she wants? Are you saying that this man who thought that that was Megan Thee Stallion shouldn't think that she's worth $175,000?
You need to realize. Oh, you're being sarcastic.
And I'm sorry, isn't this a law firm that's supposed to, like, represent, like, superheroes and elite people? Why are you remarking in such a sarcastic tone that $175,000 is a whole house in parts of the country? Like, I would think that you would be representing people who make way more than even that. So that whole statement feels like one of the writers was salty about it and put that in, and it makes no sense for it to be in there.
This is very fancy, bitch.
I'm gonna have to buy an entirely new wardrobe just to come to work.
Yeah, and you're making enough money where you can do that now.
And that's when our Italian-looking dude comes in and announces that he also is working at the same division. This is a top-tier law firm where high-end, high-class lawyers are making a lot of money. The only reason that you would have to feel that way about money is if you're not getting a lot of business. And since it seems almost everybody else is, then something's wrong with you, which makes me question, why are you still working there?
Good. Oh my gosh! Stop!
The show makes me want to go vegan for like a few years so I can shock my system by eating an entire tub of just flesh. So I can cleanse my system by projectile vomiting. To the point where they might need to take me to the emergency room because that's how much I want to puke up what I've ingested watching the show. Jesus Christ.
You need therapy, ASAP.
And now we know why this guy doesn't have a lot of business apparently, or is hurting for money, because his client comes right back in. And by the way, I forgot, this guy, the doofus guy, actually worked with Jen at her old state job, which she wasn't making anything. So he and this guy don't know each other. So this dude who is bending over bootlicking Jen is very unprofessional. Like, you don't even know this guy. They're not even friends. They don't even work together. I completely forgot. And I just realized, wait a minute. Yeah, he has history with Jen. He worked at her old job. So what in the unprofessionalism? But anyway, this guy comes in, tells you that he's been working with a shapeshifter or dating a shapeshifter, and she scammed him. He comes in right afterwards and is like, you know what? Everything I said before, I didn't mean it. And the lawyer doesn't once think, who are you right now? There needs to be a way that I can know for sure. And of course, it turns out that it is a shapeshifter, but if she had not revealed herself, or the guy at that moment didn't get a call from his actual client, he would not have known, and this would have been bad for his client. Like, why is this guy even still working here? Anyway, it's time for the hearing. Unfortunately for Jen, Wong is late to the hearing, and he is the witness that she actually needs to acquit this guy. I am not somebody who's versed with law or anything, but I know enough about what is happening here to understand that it's complete bull. Really? Marvel? Marvel, I know you're not great with TV shows, but you don't have the money out of your $53 billion to hire actual lawyers to help you write these scenes?
Now hold on. Mr. Blonsky, do you feel you have been rehabilitated?
What are you asking him for?
Now, Emil might not have been at his right mind, but can you imagine the victims at this hearing if they found out that this guy was going to get released and they were asking him, sir, do you feel as though you've been rehabilitated? Do you feel great remorse? Do you think that you can go out there and live your life in complete peace and not turn into the abomination again? How do you think the victims would feel? They're like, all right, he seems as though he's okay, so let's let him go. Nobody cares. He's a freaking criminal. It's great that he feels remorse, but no one ever stops to think that he could be freaking lying. Anyway, after he scares the kneecaps off of everyone by turning into the abomination to prove that he has complete control while he is the abomination, he can turn back at will. That means that he is not a threat. Like, even if he turns into the abomination to save people or whatever he needs to do, he can turn back if he wants. Jennifer, I would think that this is probably a conflict of interest by now with this lawyer, because she has the same problem, you know? Even though this is a superhero law division, I would think that somebody else who can also turn into a monster at will is not the best person to represent a criminal who can do the same thing, because of that whole empathy sort of thing going on where, you know, I had the same problem too. Just feels kind of sus. I don't know. But to be fair to them, they probably didn't realize this. I can understand how later they probably want to throw out the case because of that, because they'll say that she's biased, which she kind of is. I hope Emil Blonsky is a changed man and that he wants to live out his life in peace. That would be great and dandy. I don't trust him, though, and you cannot blame me. I'm more interested in the whole harem thing he's got going on. That feels like a better story to me. If they had a whole side story about Abomination and his 8 or 7 women, I would love to know what in the Rule 34 is going on there and how that story would play about. Like, that's an actual story I would love to write. I'm trying to write a harem story right now, and never mind. Okay, I'm just going on. And then, you know, they have the women. Anyway, sorry, that was so off kilter. Let's get back to the review.
Yes, let's.
Wong had come back in the nick of time to acquit the guy, but then they're like, you helped him escape from prison. And he's like, all right, gotta go. Because you know what I mean? Like, what are they gonna do to keep him? Like, you have this whole division of superheroes. It should be run by superheroes, because if you want to jail a superhero and the actual superheroes are not around, or the actual superheroes themselves go rogue, who is going to put them in jail? Another thing that's touched on in the Boys series, which, you know, they had the same problem. You saw what happened with Homelander. While the book kisser guy is out with the girls talking about his case with Doofus guy, he's like, oh, wait, you're saying that this guy's an asshole? Well, could you say this under oath and help me with my case? Basically, the whole premise is that the Doofus guy is so stupid, it is totally believable that he would not have understood that he was being tricked by a shapeshifter who was pretending to be Megan Thee Stallion, because somebody who didn't even know shapeshifters existed would in reality be condemned for believing that this person, Megan Thee Stallion, was trying to date him. Because, you know, that's never happened before, where a celebrity person or somebody of highborn status or whatever tried to mingle with the commoners. Such an odd show, and the legalese that they're trying to make up that doesn't even make sense, even if they're trying to do it pseudo, it makes no freaking sense. Like I said, Drop That Diva did it way, way better. I would say to the writers' credits, they knew that they didn't know how to write these scenes. Then hire people who do. You have the money to do that. Skip on some of the CGI and do that. You do it anyway. Like, I'm watching a show about law. I want to get smarter when I'm watching it, not dumber. The annoying elf shapeshifts into the judge when the judge rules that the $175,000 will be awarded back to the guy who was conned out of his money. At least she gets a sentence for pretending to be a judge, too, to overrule that sentence. Megan Thee Stallion is also in the back. Maybe she's there as a witness to protect her image. She'd be like, hey, I'm the real person sitting here, so if this person tries to be me again, here I am. So the Abomination is in Jen's debt. He gets to go free, except he has to wear this inhibitor that prevents him from changing to the Abomination, and he can never change to the Abomination again, or he'll go back to jail. He also encourages Jen that she should set her own narrative and not just make people say whatever they want to about her, because it's her image, and she has to be willing to speak up about who she is. Because, you know, everybody has that right to defend their reputation and who they are if other people are spreading weird-ass rumors about them. Not to mention the rumor about having the Abomination's baby is something that could ruin her livelihood and ruin her reputation very extremely, especially if he goes out and does something else heinous. She could sit in silence, but then people are gonna think, see, she's not denying it, because, you know, people are idiots.
I got her! Come on, I got her!
Oh, wait.
Anyway, these Power Ranger wannabes start swinging and they're like, we're gonna get you. And she's like, did you rob an Asgardian construction worker? And they're like, yeah. And it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. She beats the crap out of them, and I don't blame her. One of them tries to inject her, but they can't pierce her skin because she's in Hulk form. What were they trying to inject her with or take from her blood? Don't know. And I actually like seeing some action for once from She-Hulk. I think this was probably the best part about the show so far, aside from the actual Hulk before he gets his ass beat by her, who's just turned into a Hulk. Anyway, for the last segment, they claim the boss is going to be very angry, and I don't know which actors these... It sounds like they hired somebody off of freaking Facebook Marketplace to do this. People on Fiverr do a better job. I'm so sorry, but the director, it's their fault. They should have made them take extra takes because it's so obvious that it's just painful. Oh, I almost thought they were role-playing with her and they were going to be like, we just wanted the experience of trying to get beat up by you. I almost expected that to happen, but that's not the case.
Okay, fellas, I admit that did not go exactly as I imagined it.
And from they said that, I realized, oh, this is not a role play. That would have been way more interesting. But clearly, these people are up to something. They probably want her blood because they want the superpowers too. As far as they know, she was an ordinary person who just got her superpowers. What's to stop them from getting superpowers too, right? But I feel like this is probably something that's going to introduce the mutants into the universe, or maybe not, because we've been wrong so far about everything. But for the love of Loki, get better actors, or at least have them rehearse in the freaking studio and lip sync or something, because this was just painful.
Thunderball, did you get it?
No. Once you turned into She-Hulk, I couldn't pierce that nasty green skin. Damn it!
Boss is gonna be mad.
Are they YouTubers or something? It's just very obviously, like, it just stands out from everybody else. At least the rest of the people, the writing is horrible. At least the acting is sort of kind of decent. But then these people, every single one of them, it just stands out from every other person's performance to the point where it probably looks worse than it should be. Are they erotic entertainers? Like, there's no reason for Marvel to go this cheap on the acting. Ugh, I'm so conflicted about this show, but I already started, so I've got to finish it, and oh god, oh, they butchered it. They butchered the hell out of it. Now, mind you, I did not read the She-Hulk comics. They probably were like this, but if they were like this, I think you owed it to the poor character to do a lot better. Marvel movies are to DC TV series what DC movies are to the Marvel TV series. Except for Batwoman, Jesus Christ, that was just, we don't count that.
And that isn't even the nastiest thing we saw.
But I will admit, with WandaVision, Marvel, if you keep making more like that, you'll be good. And DC, with Aquaman, you know, you can make more like that. But we can't have everything, right? Anyway, that's my honest review. If I'm going to say the best thing about the show, I just said it. That last action scene. And when... yeah, that's basically it.
Hey, there's my new favorite client.
You know I'm the hottest.
You are way more fun than my last lawyer. I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion. Dial it back.